It's time for another episode of The Oil Stream with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola, presented by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen.
Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Oil Stream. Tell your friends about it. Nielsen and Gazzola here with you, brought to you by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen. Now almost 24 locations in the Edmonton and Northern Alberta area, available on DoorDash, Skip the Dishes, and Uber Eats. And hey, maybe you're playing Rec League late, and you want to get your hands on a little Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen chicken sandwich on the way to the game. Why not pick one up, Tommy?
Well, that might be me tonight. That might be me
there you go.
On my way to hockey. I'm excited to get back on the ice. Last week I didn't play, and I might have to get a little pick-me-up, a little Popeyes, and get some Nug Power and some chicken sandwich power with the Black and Ranch. Now you're tempting me, Dustin Nielsen. How dare you? Bad influence.
I like the get some Nug Power. Yeah. That's a good thing to have before Rec League. Oh, man, why are you playing so well tonight? Oh, I'm on the Nug Power. Don't worry about it. It's great.
I have nugs.
Yeah, so you just playing Friday nights with some guys or what? What's the deal?
Yeah, we have a regular, really it's just like a pickup game, but it's generally the same group of guys. There's some good players, some not so good players, but it's always pretty balanced and the pace can get pretty good. And I haven't played men's league this season. I decided not to play one game over a weekend. I think it was a one day off with my old junior B team. And I'm in their group chat and they just bitch and complain that they get bumped between Div 1 and 2. And all they want to do is drink beer and see each other and get away from their wives and kids for a few hours. So they're like, put us in Div 2, and they share their emails to the league. And it's hilarious, the responses that they get. It's like they just want to concede till they get back into Div 2. And now some of the guys that are getting a little bit older are like, oh, Div 2, let's just go to Div 3. But they keep winning in Div 2 that they get bumped up to Div 1. So it's hilarious.
You just got to go just tank 3 or 4 games. That'll get you down to Div. That's fine, yeah.
Rusty, these are guys that, some of them played major junior, a lot of them junior A, junior B. Like, they're decent players, obviously, but they don't want to back check. They don't want to block shots. They hate trying in their own zone when they're facing like former pros and former major junior players and all of that, collegiate players. Like, they hate it. And the problem is they're too damn good that they have to, and they do okay. They have a like 500 record. Sometimes when they really don't care, they lose and they slump bad in Div 1, but it's hilarious. And when I get to play with them, it's great. It's always good to see them, but I enjoy seeing them more than actually back checking and blocking shots. And
that's what it's about, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm playing 35 plus, but I think our team's had like 9 games or 10 games. I've only made 2 of them because I'm out of town all the time, right? And plus, I just can't do like 10, 15, 10:30 starts anymore with like the early start of the morning show, like weeknight games. So I told the boys, I said I'm going to miss like the first 2 months. But it's fun. 35 plus is fun, man. It's a little bit more laid back. Like, there's one ref. They only update the score at like the end of the period on the clock. Like, it's nice. It's perfect. I absolutely love it. It's great.
I'm at the point now where we're getting close. I mean, I know you're 40, but I'm getting closer to 40 where I'm like, I don't even want to compete. I just want to go out there and burn some calories, see everybody, and have a couple beers after. Like, I don't care to win. I just want to go and skate and get a good sweat in.
Yeah, and I mostly just have beers after. The last game I went to, whoever was supposed to bring beers forgot beers. I was devastated. Devastated. I came home like a sad puppy. I was just like, Tammy's like, why are you home already? There's no beers after the game. Like, I was just, you can't have that happen.
That guy needs to be fined, and that's probably like 2 more weeks of beers, or he brings double beer next time.
Yeah, 100% agreed. 100% agreed. Yeah, that's for sure. All right. Hey, let's dive into the Oilers. We've delayed it long enough. We have to get to it here. They get pumped by Carolina. Svechnikov torches them again last night, Tommy. I'm sure your post-game on TSN 1260 was straight fire last night. What was the consensus last night? What was issue number 1?
Issue number 1, well, a lot of people went after the guy between the pipes, so we'll get to him later. But the other thing, too, is just like the total lack of any type of composure, willingness to compete. And it's almost like this Jekyll and Hyde effect with this team. They looked great a couple nights ago against Tampa in a big 3-2 win. And then 2 days later, they lay an egg and nothing is going their way in their own zone. They can't make a pass to save their lives. They can't get the puck out to save their lives. Like, I think that's what's really grinding the gears of fans in the city. And I think it's bringing in bad deja vu to last year around this time when things started to go south. Really, it was like mid-November where they started losing a few games, and then, all hell broke loose in December and January.
Yeah, that's trouble. I mean, you can't get into the slide that you had, middle of the season last year because there's no outs this year. You're not changing the coach this year. You're not bringing in an Evander Kane this year. You just lost Evander Kane, and there's no other Evander Kane to bring in. So, I mean, that would be certainly concerning. The one thing, I mean, the things you point out, though, Tommy, and I know people who are watching right now are probably like, you got to talk about Campbell. And we'll get to Campbell. We'll dive into some of his numbers during Inside the Numbers for Coolback coming up here in just a second. But you mentioned the lack of composure, the inability to complete passes. I think the blue line has struggled moving the puck up the ice so far this year. That's something that they've got to kind of get under control here at some point. But, I mean, the lack of composure or the willingness to maybe work a little bit harder than they did a couple nights, I mean, that's something that's the group. I mean, that's not the coaching staff, I don't think. Like, that's the group of players that have to answer for that, don't they?
Yeah, and it's almost on a loop. Like, every year we have to have this conversation. It's like these guys don't come out of the gate on time. They sleepwalk through the first 40 minutes until they're down. Then they wake up and it's too little, too late. It's a mentality thing, and it needs to be changed. And the sad thing and the frustrating thing is there are days where they show that they're more than able to do it. Put it together. Stay sharp right out of the gate. Tuesday. Fast forward to Thursday. All of that goes out the window and they lay an egg. And don't get me wrong, Carolina's a very good team.
They are.
Carolina wanted to get a little bit of retribution for the loss on October 20th here in Edmonton. And then they also had a stinker of a game the night before. Actually, I wouldn't even call it a stinker. I was watching that game. Florida played really well against Carolina. They just couldn't score. So they had a little bit of a burr in their saddle, and they played Edmonton hard, and Edmonton basically folded over and rolled over and died. Like, they whittled away. They did it themselves. They didn't even give themselves a chance. Like, it's very frustrating. Dusty, I'll say a couple of things about the way the Oilers played that you can bring up, like the defensive zone coverage. Yeah, getting pucks up. Sometimes that could be a struggle, but I'm more worried about, like, checks in front of the net, like clearing guys out, because that's not happening. Like Brett Kulak on the third Svechnikov goal, instead of going to Svechnikov while Devin Shore was trying to play goalie and Jack Campbell was just like trying to move his pad up and down after sprawling out, Kulak went to the wrong post. He could have went and rolled over and knocked over Svechnikov. Like, I was like, what kind of defensive awareness is that? That was brutal. Yeah. That's just one example. And then turnovers at the blue lines from the forwards, both blue lines. That goal with the second left from Stahl, that can't go in. Yes, it was weak. That was weak. But the fact that, like, one little stick check at the blue line from the defenseman, because the Oiler loses it off of his stick, and it goes back the other way, and they score the second left, that's such a breakdown. And then yes, we can get into the goaltending. But
even Svechnikov's first one, the third goal, I guess it would have been last night. Yeah, Campbell probably should have it. Yeah. But like Svechnikov came unchecked through the neutral zone, in over the blue line to two defensemen who are backing off. Like he was untouched for 15, 20 feet, allowing him to set up a wicked wrister to rip what, like, these are massive breakdowns on both sides of the puck.
I'll add one more that I remembered. It was when the wingers do get the puck on the wall or in their own zone and they have possession. Like, I'm talking about 2 Mississippis worth of possession. Sometimes they just lose it in their feet. Warren Fogle the other night gets it stripped off of his stick by Dylan Strome. Like, he's not the only one, but like they just can't get the puck out. Even when the defensemen get them the puck, these guys are losing it in the wrong areas. And one more for good measure and a bonus, they don't win puck battles. They're not competing in puck battles. One-on-ones, they get their asses handed to them. It's deja vu to last year when they struggled, and they're doing the same things. The only ones that can fix it is them, because they've shown they can do it. They do it to themselves. It frustrates the heck out of the fan base completely. I'm pretty sure I saw some gray hairs on Jay Woodcroft already when I last saw him in person. And I'm like, yeah, this group, these guys, as talented and as amazing as they can be, are frustrating to coach. And there's always the wear and tear of being a head coach in the NHL. But man, they do it to themselves. You could tell them and show them, but sometimes it just doesn't compute, and they go and lay an egg like they did last night.
Should Oilers fans start to be worried here, Tommy? What do you think?
Ultimately, I don't think so. I think that, this team will figure it out because they know how to. The record is not where they should be. They've earned all 7 of these losses. I know we discussed on Wednesday, have they earned these losses? 100%. They totally earned that one last night. I can see why concern is creeping in a big way, but I think they'll clean it up. I think they'll get some more favorable matchups. It's been a tough schedule, and that's not even a good excuse or anything like that, but it really has been. This team needs to be better, simply put, and there's no trade coming. It's going to be a win from within. Do the work and figure it out. You know how to do it. Just go out and do it because they simply aren't doing it.
Evander Kane spoke today. He is going to be out the 3 to 4 months. Said it sliced everything all the way down to the bone, which is just like, oh my God.
Yeah,
he seemed to be in good spirits. But Tommy, you mentioned there's no trade coming here. Like there's nothing. Like, first of all, I mean, you're not going to trade for somebody that does what Evander Kane does anyway. Could you possibly trade for somebody to address other aspects of the lineup? Yeah, sure, maybe. Also not going to happen. Now it looks like they're not going to be with Kyler Yamamoto here for the next little while. He flew home. Obviously, if he flew back to get checked out, he's not going to be available for this game against the Florida Panthers. Didn't play last night against Carolina. Hadn't moved the needle much anyway, but with Kane out, I mean, this is an opportunity for Yamo to kind of get bumped up at the lineup and maybe start scoring a little bit. So frustrating for both the player and the team, I would think, right now.
Yeah. Outside of his tenacity and ability to gain possession, forecheck, he really hasn't done anything offensively. I know he's been nicked up basically since the start of the year, even before when at the end of training camp he was dealing with.
That's what you have to think this would be. Hey, maybe something lingering from before.
Something's up. Yeah. And so it opens the door for Holloway. Yes, it gives an opportunity for Jesse Puljujärvi, who I did not think looked good last night at all.
No shots in almost 15 minutes. I mean,
he had donuts. He had no shots, no hits, nothing. Like he had donuts right across.
Which is a little bizarre because he's at least had like 3, 4, 5 hits a game for basically the last 10 games. So
yeah. And we talked about it on the post-game show, building to building, set of officials in each building in the city.
A little bit different with the hits and stuff.
It's very subjective. Yeah, like giveaways. There's 4.
I mean, it's better than having a -3 in a column, which like half the team did last night. So there's that at least.
Yeah. These guys are going to have to pick it up. Like Ryan McLeod, who's had some good nights, he's going to have to pick it up. Guys on the blue line are going to need to get a little bit of offense going. Bouchard, who is struggling, absolutely needs to wake up and start finding his game again. And he can't, there's no Duncan Keith to come and save him. And there were times last year, I pointed out on the postgame show, Duncan Keith didn't even get a lot of praise until maybe about mid-February into March, when the tune around Duncan Keith started to change from the outside. You heard Dave Tippett always praising Duncan Keith, and I know that was deliberate. But people were hard on Keith until later on in the season, and him and Bouchard had a good thing going there. So the guys need to step up. Simple as that. Sharpen it up. Whatever is bothering you right now, flush it and start playing the way you did in February, March, April, May, and even June.
Let's get to your Boston Pizza Appetizer Appy Hour. You got to check out Appy Hour. Go get yourself some cactus cuts. Delicious. Daily from 2 to 5, and then again from 9 until close. Maybe while you're there, you pick yourself up a little Belgian Moon. Absolutely delicious beer. All right, so this was from Stoff. Huge fan of the Oil Stream. Bob Stoffer. Stoff. Yep. Thanks for downloading and subscribing. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Robert.
Yeah. The line combinations today, at practice at least, McDavid with JP and Nuge, Draisaitl, Hyman, Holloway, McLeod, Fogle with Costin, and then Shore between Ryan and Janmark, Nurse, Ceci, Kulak, Bouchard. Saw Nurse and Barry yesterday, and Kulak and Ceci, so they're kind of juggling a few things around there. Yeah. What did you think of Janmark yesterday? Bad penalty early, didn't do anything else?
Yeah. He's really, like most of his teammates, ineffective. So
what about Holloway?
I don't know.
He had the elevated view, had that turnover at the blue line that stung a little bit late in the second. But what'd you think of him overall, Tommy?
I think if he buried on one of those chances early in the game, this guy would be off to the races. The penalty shot, that sucks. He mishandled it, but he started out good, and then like the rest of the team, he faded.
Yeah. We got to get something to go right here to wrap up this trip. Let's get to a few comments. People hopping in here. Let's see.
Good.
Canagon F1. By the way, I guess F1 qualifying today was great. I'm going to have to watch that a little bit later on. They needed a number 2-3 D-man 5 years ago, and they need one today. The forward group is awful between and at the blue lines, which isn't a bad – I mean, the forward group – he makes a really good point. I mean, They have needed a number 2 defenseman for a long time. Some would argue that Nurse is the number 2. I'd say he probably classifies as number 1. But the forwards in the neutral zone and at the 2 blue lines, Tommy, I mean, that's dangerous. That's dangerous places to not be good. And that's what they're at right now.
That's the worst place to screw up. And the Oilers do it consistently right out of the gate. All 15 games, they screw up at the blue lines, both of them. Saw it again last night, so totally agree with that point. Defensively, that blue line, it can be adequate. Maybe Ken Holland does something about it later in the season, but they're cash strapped right now. Yeah, it's what you get. It sucks. It's just a crappy situation. But again, that blue line at times can be capable, and that's the frustrating thing. It's like, well, they're not the sexiest names. They're not the best defensemen. But it's like, hey, you guys did it. Like, remember when you actually were good and you didn't screw up all the time and you didn't back in on your goalies every time the team was coming at you with speed? Do that again. Like, they back in on their goalies so much. There were so many times, and Darnell Nurse is guilty of it. Cody Cece is guilty. Kulak. They're all 6, 7 guys that have played defense for the Oilers this year. They back in on their goalies. Like, stand them up. It's simple, I know. And I'm sure Dave Mattson is going crazy trying to yell at them to say, what are you guys doing back? Like, know where you are on the ice. I digress. I'm getting frustrated because it is frustrating to watch. Usually I take a step back and breathe. That text makes me get stirred up. So thank you for the text.
It's your Boston Pizza appetizer. Looks like we're going to be later this month, Calgary Trail Boston Pizza. We're just trying to figure out if it's going to be a noon or an evening again.
How's that vote going?
Actually, I don't know. I posted it. I never looked back. I saw a couple of replies, but let me see.
I voted for evening. I like both. Like, to me, they're both great.
You voted? You're not supposed to vote. 77.6% say the evenings. So that's pretty overwhelming. So we'll probably be there in the evening. Boston Pizza. We'll let you know the date exactly. We're still locking all that in, but it's looking like Boston Pizza, Calgary Trail in the evening in the final week of November. So that's probably where we're headed. That is your Boston Pizza appetizer. Check out Happy Hour 2 to 5, and then again from 9 until close. Let's dive into Inside the Numbers for Cool Bet. Stay cool, bet responsibly with Cool Bet. And Inside the Numbers, we got to take a look here at Jack Campbell. He's 6-4 in the 10 games that he has started, but he has an .873 save percentage and a 4.27 goals against average. And Tommy, I'll say this before I throw it over to you on Jack Campbell. I've seen a lot of people say or ask the question like, how do you fix Jack Campbell? What are the Oilers going to do about Jack Campbell? And the answer here is the Oilers can't do jack squat about Jack Campbell. He's signed for the next 5 years. He's had a horrible start so far. You can't do anything about it. I saw some people say, call somebody up from the minors. That's not going to happen. The only thing you can really do about Jack Campbell is play Stuart Skinner more until Jack Campbell's game rounds out or bounces back or becomes whatever it's going to be here. But we need to stop saying, what are you going to do with Jack Campbell? You can't do anything with Jack Campbell.
No, you're 15 games into the season. It's a harsh reality right now. He's capable of being much, much, much better. Last night, he ate all 7 of those. And listen, his team didn't do anything to help him again. But
like 3 or 4 of them were freaking brutal.
Oh, they were terrible. They were pathetically bad. But like the team, you can go, look at what happened on Tuesday. he was great.
He was very
yes,
good
his rebound
Tuesday.
control wasn't
Best
perfect,
game.
but he was very good.
Yeah.
Like, if he plays like he did on Tuesday, you probably are going to win most games. He only let in 2 goals. Then he gets absolutely destroyed by Carolina on Thursday, and it's like, oh, here's the same guy that called his game pathetic last Saturday.
Yeah.
It's all over the place. And what can they do about Jack Campbell? Play better in front of him. Like, it starts there. You want to give a guy confidence? All 5 guys in front of the goalie don't screw up all the time in the worst area, especially if you got a fragile goalie back there. The only way he's going to come out of this funk is by playing and playing well. Tuesday, again, was that moment. And then they go and they play like absolute dog shit in front of him. And he reciprocates and looks absolutely like when he's staring at his glove, that's a terrible sign. And, someone
That's 2 of the last 3 games he's been staring at the glove.
Oily Doughboy called in last night. He's like, I'm a goalie. I played goalie my whole life. I can't stand those Vaughn gloves. The netting in them sucks. Some goalies put in the skate laces. I get that. But, like, I think Jack Campbell needs to just work on catching the puck. Catch some heaters, man. Someone take him with a baseball glove or something and just catch, because he's closing his hand and they're hitting him and going in. Like, those are shit goals. So he's in a funk, and the team in front of him is pushing him into that rut right now with the way they're playing. And you're right, Dusty. You said it right off the top. They can't do anything unless he's so bad that you call up Calvin Pickard. And I don't think they're at that point at all yet.
No, you can't. That's never going to happen. Like, you would never call. You would just play Skinner more. It's as simple as that. You would relegate him to a backup, and maybe you say, "Hey, sorry, dude, you're playing like shit right now. Yeah. You're the backup now." Like, if it happens a lot of people say it should happen right now. I'd say if it happens 2 or 3 more times, like if we're sitting here next Friday and going, man, they lost again. Jack Campbell gave up 6. Then, maybe it's time to just, I know Skinner hasn't been brilliant as of late, but Skinner's numbers, we laid out the numbers for you. And we know Campbell's numbers can't be this bad all year. There's just no way. And Skinner right now is a 928. That's going to come down as well. And he's 2-3 so far on the season. He'll get the net for sure against Florida. Do you think they win? Do you think they wrap up this trip with a win? And if they do, it's a very roller coaster 504-game trip in some pretty difficult spots.
Very tumultuous. And Skinner got a full taste of the absolute scramble in front of him on Monday night against Washington. So even he's susceptible to how bad the team plays as a unit in front of him. I do think that they're going to have their best performance, maybe as good as the Tampa one, maybe even better against Florida. From my understanding, I think that they're staying the night and they're having their rookie party.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure before they left, I caught wind of that. So there's a carrot dangling in front of them. And usually that's when you play your best game, when you know something fun is coming up. And I know it shouldn't be that way. We're all human. Every sport does it. And so I fully expect them to be completely engaged and try to earn that night out for the rookie party, and then come home with a headache and the flight crew giving you Advil and coffee and Bailey's, and you enjoy your Sunday flight home, and then you regroup for Monday and practice.
I say this. If they play really well against Florida, they should just say after every win, everybody can get shit-faced. Every time. Simple enough. Why have the Oilers won 11 in a row? Oh, they've been on an all-time binge right now. Like, it's, yeah.
Guilty every night. Yeah, exactly.
Whatever happens.
They're not so different than you and I, the way we play hockey.
If somebody told me that, let's just say for fun, if I won the rec league game Sunday night, and if we won it, I got to go to Vegas for 2 days, I'm going to try harder than I've ever tried in my entire life for the trip. So...
Yeah, you're going to kick the shit out of whatever team you're playing against no matter what. Yeah, exactly.
We're all human. We're all human.
That's how it works up there, exactly.
Tommy, what time are you on the air tomorrow on 1260?
12:30, we're on the air, hour and a half pregame show, so tune in. We'll rip them accordingly, and we'll praise them if they win. We'll see how it goes.
All right, get us out of here, buddy. Enjoy the rest of your Friday.
All right. Enjoy your long weekend, everyone. For Dustin Nielsen, I'm Tom Gazzola saying like, share, subscribe, smash that thumbs up button. Have a great weekend.